Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. And it is good morning. It's the best day of my life. It's the best day of your life. You just may not recognize it yet. And just as a way of refresher, this is day 15 of 35 specific mornings that I'm going to go live and talk about the unbound life, autonomy, freedom, living. And here we are, halfway through these 35 days. Sit with that for a second. 15 days in, halfway through this series. And I hope, and I genuinely do hope, that you're feeling what I believe is true, that you're not the same person who showed up on day one. Some of you may be thinking, well, I haven't really had a whole lot of transformation. What are you doing here? Well, sometimes we measure transformation in different ways. And so today I want to introduce to you the fifth stage in the pathway to freedom. And this one requires something that the previous stages don't quite require in the same way. It requires complete honesty about your own inner space, your own interior. Not just about what others have done to you, not about the structures that were built around you or all of that, but the covert operations, the invisible contracts, all of these things that you've been running yourself. The fifth stage is called clean. And clean does not mean perfect. All right, there is no such thing as perfect except being true. That's perfect. With the bumps, the bruises, the good, the bad, the ugly, the clean and the dirty. Being clean does not mean perfect. It does not have anything to do with morally pure in some idealized, unattainable way. It does not mean that you never make mistakes or misrepresent yourself or fall short of your own values. Clean means specifically this in my lexicon: no hidden agendas, no invisible or covert contracts, no masked resentments operating beneath the surface of your relationships and your behavior. It means what you see is what is actually happening. It means your spoken intentions and your actual intentions are the same thing. You're not building a private case against someone while presenting a friendly face. It means you're not performing generosity while silently keeping score. Most people, if they're honest, and this is the stage where honesty becomes very specific and very personal, most people are not entirely clean. Not because they're bad, but because surviving in relationship, navigating complex human dynamics, the whole thing has required at various points the maintenance of a hidden interior or a hidden identity, a private scorecard and an unspoken agenda, a resentment that is managed rather than resolved or spoken. And the cost of that, the ongoing compounding cost of the hidden interior, is extraordinary. It costs energy, intimacy, clarity that comes from knowing that your exterior and your interior are the same thing. Clean is the stage where you decide the cost is too high. And you start the work of bringing the inside and the outside into alignment. The invisible contract. We talked about invisible contracts earlier in this series. Might have been day 2 or 3. The ones we absorb from our environment, the unspoken agreements about who we have to be in order to be loved, to belong, to be safe. The covert contract or invisible contract is slightly different. The covert contract is the one we initiate. It's the agreement we make silently, privately, without the other person's knowledge or consent. It says, I'm going to give you this, and in return, you're going to give me that. I'll perform this function, and you'll see it and appreciate it and respond in this particular way. The difference is that the other person doesn't know the terms. They've not agreed to the exchange, and they're simply living their life while you're keeping a ledger that they didn't know exists. And when they fail to pay what you've decided they owe, when they don't respond to your performance, when the response you needed doesn't happen, the resentment builds, okay? And it builds quietly, underneath, out of sight, in the place where the covert contract lives. And you cannot address it directly because addressing it would require meeting the contract. It would require saying, I was scorekeeping with you and you didn't play by the rules and I never told you about it. I mean, you can't say that. That's a deeply vulnerable admission, and most people find ways to avoid making it infidelity. I mean, making it because it feels like infidelity of oneself, right? And some people they don't ever say it. And so there's this forever eternal avoidance. So I ran covert contracts in most of my significant relationships for years. I didn't know that's what they were. I thought I was being generous. I thought I was giving freely, loving sacrificially, serving without expectation, but the resentment told the truth. I'd love to talk about that and what it looked like. The slow build of feeling unseen, unappreciated, undervalued. See, that all told me something. Because genuine generosity, the kind that comes from the full place rather than a hidden transaction, doesn't produce resentment. It cannot. It can only produce joy. The resentment was the receipt, proof that I'd been transacting even while performing generously. The moment I named it, the moment I could see the covert contract for what it was genuinely humbling, because it required me to take responsibility for a dynamic I'd been experiencing entirely as something being done to me. And that responsibility was uncomfortable, but it was also freeing. Because what I was responsible for, I could change. What they were doing to me, I had no control over, but what I had been covertly asking for and not receiving, I could address that. Either by making the ask explicit or by releasing it entirely, or, by reconsidering whether the expectation was fair to begin with. So the Hall moment. Honesty aligns liberation's language. And remember that. The Hall moment of clean is the moment you see your own hidden operation. The honesty says, I've not been entirely above board here. I didn't know it, but I've been carrying something I didn't tell anyone about, including myself. I've been running an agenda that no one consented to. Maintaining a private interior that is different from my public presentation. That's what I've been doing. When that honesty lands, when you can hold it without immediately defending yourself or making excuses, something aligns. A kind of integrity becomes available that was not available before, because you can now see the gap between inside and outside. And seeing it gives you the choice to close it. The language that forms is the language of a self that no longer has to manage a hidden interior. And it can be seen fully without the threat of the hidden thing being exposed. That is the same in private as in public. That is the most restful way to live I've ever experienced. And it begins with one act of internal honesty. Getting clean is not a single event. It is a practice, an ongoing daily discipline of examining the inside for covert transactions, hidden resentments, and unspoken agendas, and bringing them into the light. Practically, it sort of looks like this. When you notice resentment, you trace it. You ask where the hidden expectation is underneath it, because expectation is premeditated resentment. You name this contract. You name this invisible and covert contract. Decide whether to surface the ask or release the expectation. When you notice you're performing generosity without genuine joy, ask what you're actually hoping for. What return are you expecting? Is that expectation fair? Is it spoken? If not, why? Why haven't you said it? And when you find yourself managing your presentation, you're making sure that people see the right thing. Ask what you're hiding. Not always something significant, but often something worth naming. So, one honest question today. Where are you keeping a score that the other person doesn't know you're keeping? This isn't to shame yourself, just to see, to name it, to take back the cost of the hidden thing. Because the freedom that comes from living clean, from having no hidden interior, no private ledger, no covert transaction, can't say that word this morning, no covert transaction, nothing running underneath the surface, is a quality of peace that is genuinely rare, and it is available to you starting with one honest look at what you've been carrying. So, day 15, the halfway mark, roughly. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about what healing looks like. Not the concept, but the texture, the specific experience of life that has done the work and is living differently because of it. So, be well, and I'll see you in the morning. Let's set you free. And by the way, I'm going to go live with another thought in a minute.